Johnny Chan.
Good evening. Bienvenue and enchanté. Thank you all for coming all this way to help us celebrate our wedding in this amazing venue. There is an old adage that the groom's speech should be as long as a miniskirt. That is long enough to cover the essentials, but not so long that the audience isn't perky. I'll try and stick to this. Many people have asked us why we decided to get married abroad. Well, in this day and age, it seems as though the ancient traditions of marriage are being overturned. Well, you have the phenomenon of Hello magazine, and if you were thumbing through the pages last year, you would have seen pictures of Elton John taking his partner up the aisle. These days, anything goes. We count ourselves lucky to have found this place with wonderful views of the Mediterranean, delicious food, as I'm sure you'll agree, and sunshine all day, thus proving that the English climate is one of the world's great colonising influences. So, while we've all been admiring the setting, I have to say that I've only been captivated by one thing tonight, and that has been my beautiful bride. Some of you may be wondering how an intelligent and attractive lady such as Annie could have been hoodwinked into marrying a person such as myself. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it was no mean feat bringing this fine girl to the altar. In fact, it makes the 7 labours of Hercules seem like boiling an egg. Here's the story. We were introduced 7 years ago at a Thanksgiving night thrown by our good friend Edwin. For the uninitiated, Thanksgiving celebrates a pivotal moment in American history where people would invite their neighbours round to share some food, tell some stories, and then kill them and steal their land. However, on our night, I was fortunate enough to sit next to Annie. She first struck me as someone who was beautiful, intelligent, sassy, but didn't seem to be particularly impressed by some of my best jokes, mostly about turtles. Afterwards, we strolled down to the bus stop in central Camden. Just in case there was any chance of some foul play, I offered to wait with her for the bus to arrive. She said no, so I let them, not wanting to come on too strong, I left her to it. The next day, I get a text from Edwin saying, "Buddy, you blew it." In the 4 years that I spent in the doghouse, I learned 2 things about Annie. Firstly, she values chivalry very highly in a man, and secondly, she doesn't forgive in a hurry. However, 4 years later, my patience paid off, and we had a date, set up again by Edwin. We went to the cinema, where we saw the X-Men 2. Pretty soon we fell in love. I think Annie came to appreciate that although I may not have the smouldering good looks of Hugh Jackman, at least I don't have razor-sharp claws popping out my knuckles. Once we started dating, one of the many connections we had was Hong Kong, where I lived for 5 years with our family. We had an incredible time, learned about all the Chinese traditions and culture. 3 lessons proved to be very important. Firstly, always respect your elders. Secondly, I learned how to use chopsticks to level 5. I could eat a plate of boiled mushrooms and oiled peanuts. Thirdly, I learned that over the years, women in China, in a patriarchal society, had been forced to become tough and hard-working. They'd had to suffer centuries of suffering and deprivation in stoical silence. Surely, I reasoned, this would make one a perfect marriage candidate for a golf-playing, lazy fellow such as myself. In fact, I soon learned that Annie will suffer and deprivation for about half a second before she jumps up and kicks someone's butt. So after 3 years of courtship, I thought, right, it's time to pop the question about how to do it. Reasoning that Paris is the city of love, where better than the top of the Eiffel Tower? Arriving in Paris one wet Saturday morning, I was rather nervous and resolved to do the deed as soon as possible. Batting aside Annie's objections that we wait till the afternoon when sunshine was forecast, I dragged her up the 1,021 steps to the top of the Eiffel Tower and, huddling in the corner, best sheltered from the driving rain, dropped to my knee and popped the question.
You didn't drop to your knees. You did not do.
She was shocked. Burst into tears, although it could have been the rain. And then came the reply, maybe. Well, back in England, I knew I had to persevere, but what cunning ruse or trick could I use to get her to change her mind? It was then I discovered a little-known law about courtship. Once a marriage proposal has been rejected, it cannot be repeated for 12 months. When she learnt this, the tiniest bead of sweat appeared on Annie's forehead. The shoe was tiptoeing over to the other foot. When, a month later, in a sunlit glade in the New Forest, I ambushed her with a second proposal, the reply was swift and affirmative, and we were able to move on to the next step of handing over a sum of money equivalent to a small family car for a tiny lump of carbon. She is worth every penny.
It's a lovely graphite ring.
It just remains for me to say some thank yous to some of the most important people in my life. Mum and Dad, thanks for getting me here safely. Mum, I know you said that you always wanted daughters because they're quiet and they play with dolls. I know how excited you are to have Annie in the family. I'm afraid she may not be that quiet and don't go by a doll's house quite yet. Mr. and Mrs. Chan, thank you very much for accepting me into the family. Gum Tin Nyor Ho Win Hung.
What is that?
Now, for all the Chinese speakers in the audience, you probably didn't understand that. It means today, I am humbled by your presence. Alan, thank you very much for conducting the service today. It was wonderful and very much enjoyed it. And to the Bonnie bridesmaids as well, thank you. Mike, the best man, great stag in Brighton, wearing a high-vi jacket in the paintball game, left me slightly bruised, but probably slightly less discomforting than it would have been wearing a Borat-style man-pee. A little advice, there is an old adage for the best man speech, it should be like a pair of Y-fronts. Fitting enough to keep everything in its place, and warm enough to prevent a chill affecting family members. And Annie, thank you for all the effort you put into the wedding. She has done, ladies and gentlemen, 99% of the work. I did produce a CD of some of my favourite songs. And I saw that some of you enjoyed Mambo No. 5. But no, it's been amazing. And thank you for agreeing to be my wife. I hope that the next 40 years can be as much fun as the last 4. Thank you very much.
Well done, John.
Okay. Not only